Rafik boarded the last evening train home, exhausted after a long shift and barely noticing how empty the platform felt. The announcement echoed strangely, as if the speakers were buried deep underground instead of overhead. He stepped into the nearest carriage, finding only a few silent passengers scattered far apart. The doors shut with a heavy metallic slam that sounded louder than usual. As the train pulled away, he realized no one else had boarded behind him. He sank into a window seat and watched the city lights blur into darkness as the train sped through the outskirts. Normally, this route stopped at every small station, a slow but familiar journey he'd taken for years. Tonight, the carriage lights flickered once, then settled into a dim yellow glow. Across from him, an old man stared at the floor without moving a muscle. The silence inside felt thick, like the air before a storm. The first station approached, its name glowing faintly on the platform sign outside. Rafik gathered his bag slightly, expecting the usual stop and the chime of opening doors. Instead, the train rushed straight through, blasting wind against the windows without slowing. He frowned, assuming maybe it was an express service or a timing change, but he had never seen this train skip that station before. A woman near the door suddenly whispered, "It skipped?" Her voice trembled, barely audible over the rumble of the tracks. Rafik leaned forward and asked what she meant, but she didn't answer. She just kept staring at the dark window, her reflection pale and tense. The old man across from him slowly shook his head, still not looking up. The next station lights appeared ahead, glowing like a safe checkpoint in the darkness. Rafik felt relief, certain the train would stop this time. But once again, the train thundered past, faster than before, never touching the brakes. A low murmur spread among the passengers, fear finally breaking the silence. "Someone near the back," muttered. "It only happens after midnight." Rafik's phone showed the time, 12:07 a.m. He felt a cold knot form in his stomach as he remembered something from years ago. There had once been an accident on this line, a train that vanished between stations. People said it ran on certain nights, never stopping where it should. He swallowed hard, telling himself it was just a stupid rumor. Suddenly, the train lights flickered again, longer this time. For a split second, the carriage went completely dark. In that darkness, Rafik heard footsteps moving quickly down the aisle. When the lights returned, every passenger was staring toward the same empty seat. The seat looked freshly occupied, its cushion slowly sinking. The speaker crackled overhead with a burst of static. A distorted voice announced the next stop in a slow, warped tone. But the station name wasn't one Rafik had ever heard before. Several passengers stiffened, and the woman near the door began quietly crying. The old man finally looked up and whispered, "Don't get off there." Outside, the train began slowing for the first time. Through the window, Rafik saw a platform swallowed in fog, lit by a single flickering lamp. No station staff, no passengers, no BC Blake seat, just a rusted sign barely readable. As the brakes screeched, the door slid open with a hollow mechanical sigh, and from the fog, something tall and shadowy stepped onto the train. The tall figure stepped inside slowly, its outline blurred by the fog trailing behind it. No one spoke, and even the sound of the train engine felt distant and muffled. Rafik noticed the figure's head nearly brush the ceiling as it moved down the aisle. Its coat looked soaked, dripping dark stains onto the carriage floor. The doors slammed shut behind it with a violent metallic bang. The train lurched forward again, leaving the strange foggy station behind. The figure didn't sit, didn't hold a rail, just stood perfectly still in the center aisle. Rafik tried to see its face, but the hood cast a shadow too deep to pierce. A cold smell spread through the carriage, like wet iron and old dust. Somewhere near the back, someone quietly began praying. The overhead lights dimmed to a weak orange glow. Rafik's reflection trembled in the window as the train rattled faster than before. When he looked back, the tall figure had moved closer, without a sound. Now it stood only 2 rows away, had tilted slightly toward him. He felt certain it was staring straight into his eyes. Across from him, the old man whispered, "Don't react. It notices fear." Rafik forced himself to look down at his hands, though his heart hammered wildly. The woman near the door covered her mouth to stop a sob from escaping. No one dared move as the figure took another slow step forward. Its dripping footsteps made no sound on the metal floor. The speaker crackled again, louder this time. Next stop. Last crossing, the distorted voice groaned. The words stretched unnaturally long, as if dragged through static. Rafik had never heard of such a station on this route. The old man muttered, "That's where it takes people." The train suddenly shook, lights flickering rapidly like a dying pulse. For a split second, darkness swallowed the entire carriage. In that instant, Rafik felt icy air brush past his shoulder. When the lights returned, the seat beside him was occupied. The tall figure was now sitting silently at his side. Rafik's breath caught in his throat as he sensed the cold radiating from it. Slowly, he turned his head, dreading what he might see. The hood slipped back, just enough to reveal a pale, hollow face. Its eyes were sunken and colorless, like fog trapped in empty sockets. Its lips moved slightly, whispering words he couldn't fully hear. "Skipped. Your stop." The figure murmured faintly. Rafik felt his stomach drop as he realized his home station had already passed. He hadn't even noticed when it happened. The train had carried him far beyond where he should have gotten off. Now only darkness rushed past the windows. Panic began rising among the passengers. A young man rushed to the doors, hammering the emergency button repeatedly. Nothing happened. No alarm. No slowing. Only endless speed. The tall figure's head slowly turned toward the noise. The young man froze as the carriage temperature dropped sharply. The train began slowing once more, brakes screaming louder than before. Outside, another platform appeared, darker, older, and completely abandoned. The sign read, "Last Crossing," its letters peeling and barely hanging on. As the doors opened, a deep, echoing wind howled through the carriage, and from the shadows outside, faint silhouettes began moving toward the train. The train roared back into motion. Lights inside flickered unevenly. Nobody spoke or even breathed loud. The doors stayed locked tight, and the next station name vanished. The route map above the door glitched. Every station light went dark. Only one red dot remained, blinking slowly at the end, a stop not printed before. The old man beside me whispered, "This is where it takes them." His hands trembled badly now. He wouldn't look at the windows. "Don't answer if it calls." A metallic voice filled the carriage. Next station, Ashvaldai. Passengers looked at each other. None of us knew that name. The train began slowing anyway. Outside, there were no city lights, only fog and shadowy trees. The platform appeared suddenly. Cracked concrete, broken lamps. No signboards, no people waiting. The doors slid open, halfway. Cold air flooded the car. Somewhere, a bell rang once. Slow, heavy, echoing long. Nobody moved from their seat. Then footsteps sounded outside. Not one pair, but many, shuffling across the platform, stopping right at our door, breathing faintly in the dark. A woman near the aisle sobbed. "Please, close the doors," she begged. The speaker crackled softly. Passengers may now disembark. But no one had pressed stop. A pale hand gripped the door. Fingers long and stiff. Another hand appeared below. Then a face in the gap. Eyes completely black. Someone screamed in the rear. The doors jolted suddenly wider. Cold mist rolled inside fast. The black-eyed figure leaned closer. "Wrong train," it whispered. The old man grabbed my sleeve. "Look down," he hissed sharply. I forced my gaze to the floor. More feet stepped into the carriage. Wet, slow, surrounding us. The lights went fully out. Only the emergency strip glowed. Shadows stretched unnaturally long. Whispers filled every corner. Like a crowd searching seats, then the conductor's voice returned. Calm, cheerful. Wrong. Doors closing. Enjoy the ride. The figures froze instantly. The doors slammed shut hard. The train lurched forward again. Dark platform sliding away. Black-eyed shapes watching silently. One of them smiled slowly, like it knew we'd return. Inside, nobody spoke at all. But one seat was now empty. The woman who cried earlier. Her scarf lay on the floor. Still warm when I touched it. The route map flickered back on. Stations relit one by one, but a new name appeared. Right before my destination, Asheville next stop. And this time, the stop bell rang. The train finally slowed, but the station outside was not on any map, Daniel knew. The sign flickered weakly, showing the same missing station name he'd seen crossed out before. The doors opened with a long metallic sigh, and cold air rolled in like something breathing. No passengers moved, yet Daniel felt a silent pressure forcing him to step out. Behind him, the whisper returned, softer now. You were meant to get off here. The platform was empty, coated in dust, as if no train had stopped for decades. Lights buzzed overhead, turning on one by one as Daniel walked forward. He noticed old posters on the wall, showing smiling commuters from another era. Every poster had their faces scratched out, except one that looked disturbingly like him. Under it, faded letters read, "Last chance to leave." A distant announcement echoed through broken speakers, but the voice sounded distorted. Final stop. For those who missed their station, it repeated endlessly. Daniel turned back, panicking, only to see the train doors already closing. He ran, shouting, but the windows were now dark, reflecting only the empty platform. The train pulled away silently, leaving him alone in the humming station. Footsteps suddenly echoed from the tunnel ahead, slow and uneven. Shapes emerged from the darkness, figures of passengers he'd seen on the train. Their faces were pale, eyes hollow, moving like people half asleep. One woman stepped forward, pointing at the tracks behind Daniel. "That train doesn't take you home," she whispered. "It brings replacements." Daniel's chest tightened as he realized what she meant. He remembered the conductor staring too long at him when he boarded. The conductor had checked his ticket and quietly said, "Good. We needed one tonight." Daniel's hand shook as the truth settled in his mind. Someone had taken his place in the real world the moment he boarded. A rumbling began again, but this time from the opposite tunnel. Another train approached, older, rusted, its headlights dim like dying eyes. The ghostly passengers lined up silently as if this was routine. The woman pulled Daniel toward the edge of the platform. "If you want to go back," she said, "you must board before it fully stops." The train screeched, louder and louder, sparks flying along the rails. Daniel's heart pounded as he saw shadowy figures already inside, staring out. The doors slammed open for only a second, darkness spilling from within. He hesitated, thinking of home, of normal mornings, of sunlight. Then the lights above exploded, plunging the station into near blackness. With no time left, Daniel jumped into the train. The doors snapped shut instantly, trapping him inside the pitch-dark carriage. For a moment there was silence. Then a warm yellow light slowly filled the car. This train looked normal, clean seats, quiet passengers, soft announcements. Outside the window, he saw familiar city lights rushing past. Relief flooded him until he noticed one last thing. Across the aisle sat another version of himself, staring back in shock. That double slowly smiled and began to fade like mist in sunlight. Daniel felt a sudden jolt as memories that weren't his slipped into place. He now remembered arriving home earlier that night, as if he'd never left. The train finally stopped at his real station. Doors opened to the ordinary noise of commuters and distant traffic. Daniel stepped onto the platform, breathing hard, the nightmare fading behind him. When he turned back, the train doors were already closed. The sign above it flickered briefly, showing the missing station name again. As the train pulled away, the conductor inside tipped his hat slowly. Through the glass, Daniel saw new passengers sitting silently in the dim carriage. One of them pressed a hand to the window, confused and afraid. The conductor's voice echoed faintly across the platform. "Next stop, the station that isn't supposed to exist." Daniel never rode late-night trains again after that. But sometimes, while waiting on quiet platforms, he hears distant rails humming. Electronic boards glitch for a second, showing an extra stop on the line. And in the reflection of dark train windows, he occasionally sees that other version of himself, still riding on the train that skips one station.